Andy Sagan has not joined us as of yet. Ashley, who's our fire department rep?
The fire department rep is Thomas Johnson.
Oh, okay. I see. He's not joined us either.
Yeah, and I haven't heard from him either that he wasn't. So
okay.
He'll be joining us as well.
Well, we'll wait another minute or two.
All right, sounds good.
Oh, okay. So Andy has joined us. And one more minute and we'll get things underway. All right, 7:02. We'll get things underway. Good evening, everybody. This is the City of Oak Creek Traffic and Safety Commission meeting of Wednesday, November 11th, 2020. We'll call the meeting to order. Again, this is the Traffic and Safety Commission meeting of Wednesday, November 11th, 2020. Roll call, Ashley Kopczynski. Can you hear me, Ashley?
Here, yep, here.
Oh, okay, here, all right. Ralph Knoisel? Ralph, can you hear me? I think he cannot. Ralph, can you hear us?
Now I can.
Oh, okay.
I'm here.
So we're taking roll. Thank you. Kevin Rokenbrodt. I know he was in and out saying he was having some
I can hear you.
technical issues. Okay, there we go. Thank you, Kevin.
Looks like I have
Thomas
to
Johnson.
unmute it on the computer and on my phone.
Okay. Thomas Johnson. Not here. Andy Sagan.
Here.
All right. Rudy Ums.
Here.
And Greg Wolf. I did see Greg. I know you're there somewhere, Greg. Greg Wolf, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Ah, there you are. Yep. Hey, you sound like a commercial.
Yeah,
So
I do, don't
hear
I?
me now. Okay, let's go on to the approval of the minutes from the meeting on 10/14/20. I trust you've all had the opportunity to take a look at those minutes. And if not, take a moment to review them. And otherwise, I would just need a motion.
Greg Wolf, I move that we accept minutes as read.
Okay, a second.
Ralph Knoisel seconds that.
All right, thank you. Old business, there is none. And on to agenda item number 5, new business. And I'll read what the agenda items are and then have a little background commentary or information from Ashley in the engineering department. Item number 1 on new business is a request to install no parking, stopping, standing signs from a sign that states 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on school days only. These signs would be on the south side of Wood Avenue between 21st Street and 20th Street and along the west side of 21st Street between Cedar Hills School property and Carrington Avenue. Ashley, again, why don't you give us a little history or background on this agenda item?
All right, sounds good. I guess first off, Kevin, is there anyone on the line regarding these items?
Yes, we have Andrew Cromie with the school district and then 2 neighbors as well.
Oh,
right.
great. Okay.
Perfect. All right. So this request was initiated by the school district. So they have plans to revise their parent pickup drop off. And Andrew can jump in at any time if I'm misspeaking here or would like to expand it all. But what will be happening for the start of the 21-22 school year, so not until next September, is that cars will be routed down 24th Street, and then they will go along the south side of Cedar Hills Elementary School, and then they will be exiting on 21st and Wood Avenue.
So this
Actually,
is,
I'm sorry, Alderman Dukniak here. I have a question. As I'm looking at the drawing that we were provided, coming off of 24th Street. So is it an unlabeled street that goes behind Cedar Hills Elementary School, or is that
It's
just a
essentially-
paved pathway?
Yeah, it'll be a new entrance, like a driveway that will go
Okay.
all along the south side of the school. So
So
yeah,
that's why it's not
something
labeled.
that's in the works right now.
Okay.
Yep, yeah. So it's at the dead end, and they're gonna go east.
this,
So yeah, so the school board had initiated it during their meetings with Plan Commission and real early in the process. The engineering department took a look at it and thought it would be a very good idea. That would be very consistent with the parking restrictions at the other elementary schools within Oak Creek, that where you have those main roads along the school and where that parent pickup drop off area is, parking is restricted at those
Okay.
locations. Especially during school.
this is Andy from the school district, so I can elaborate on the plans if everybody can hear me.
Sure, go right ahead, Andy.
So as stated, our plan is to route parent pickup traffic away from the front of the building, where we'll also have bus traffic in both the morning and the afternoon, using 24th Street, going along the south side of Cedar Hills, and then exiting onto 21st Street. The rationale for that is it takes approximately 24 to 28 cars off of the main drive in front of Cedar Hills and routes them around either onto 24th or onto our existing asphalt area. So it takes approximately a third to a half of the cars that drop off in the morning out of kind of the traffic, main traffic pattern, so to speak. Our goal is to use signage to route as many of those cars north onto 21st Street to avoid Wood and ultimately 20th Street, which is a pretty big thoroughfare as you enter into Milwaukee on the north side and Oak Creek on the south side. We sent a letter to, and I sent it so long ago, I cannot recall, but it's somewhere between 45 and 50 homes that are immediately adjacent to Cedar Hills, both on the north side and on the east side. We received communication from 3 of those individuals, all of them with their concern about the number of cars that would potentially exit onto Wood and then ultimately onto 20th. So we had nothing regarding 21st specifically, but concern with Wood moving onto 20th. And so using that information, again, our goal will be to use signage and route as many cars onto 21st as possible. But because parking is allowed currently on both sides of that, that could create some congestion as well with sending 50 to 60, 75 cars north onto 21st. And that number comes from our current drop-off rate. I should say our pre-pandemic drop-off rate of parents. And so getting those cars, again, off of Wood, which is a narrow street in and of itself, and then 20th Street isn't the easiest to both go north and south on. And so we wanted to avoid that as much as possible.
Okay, thank you, Andy. And before we get into committee members' discussion, let's get the residents that are waiting to provide their input on this action item. So Kev, what do we have?
Sure. First up, we have Paul. Paul, you should be able to unmute yourself. We'll need your name and address for the record.
Hello, I am Paul Dietenberger, 2027 West Wood Avenue.
Hi, Paul. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Sure, just wanted to see that everything was going to be approved to keep the parking off my side of the street on Wood Avenue because I live on the south side, and it's not necessarily the most convenient thing for me to give up parking on my side, but as mentioned, Wood is a narrow street, and I'd rather do without the parking than risk any conflicts in vehicles as they're leaving the school.
Okay, great. Anything else at all, Paul?
Not right now.
Okay, well, thank you so much again for joining us tonight, Paul, and thank you for your comments. Committee discussion on Paul's comments? Okay, then let's go on. Kevin, who is our
Ken,
second guest?
Wait.
Oh, Rudy? Okay.
Is Roberta online?
Yep, we were gonna mute her next.
Okay, she's a resident.
Okay, well then let's bring Roberta on.
Thank you.
All right, Roberta, you should be able to unmute yourself using the Zoom controls, and then we'll need your name and address for the record.
Roberta Thorpe, 6680 South 21st Street. So I live directly across the street from where the driveway is to exit the school property. I don't really have any concerns about people going down 21st Street. I know when I attended a meeting in the past, the window in which the traffic would be going down 21st Street is relatively limited to the morning hours and then the pickup time. My question is, how was the west side of 21st Street selected as the place to have no parking? To me, it seems that when people are coming out of the parking lot, it would make more sense to have the east side having no parking. So that was my first question. The second question is, when the no parking on the west side of the street, or let's just say it would be the east side of the street, when that goes into effect, what happens to, right now there is a no parking from the north end of the school property to basically to Wood Street. Would that change to would that change to be just during school hours, or would that be maintained that it would always be no parking from the north end to Wood?
Okay, Roberta, thank you again for joining us, and thank you for your comments and questions. Committee members, anybody got anything on explaining or answering Roberta's questions?
So I can add a little information as to why the west side was picked for no parking. That was mainly due to like she did mention that there is currently no parking within the school grounds to Wood Avenue on that west side. So we just figured we would extend that existing limit of no parking to go all the way to Carrington on the west side, and be impacting less residents by restricting that parking by keeping it on the west side. So that was our initial thoughts and reasoning for doing it on the west side.
Okay.
So, and then I guess engineering point two, we were all kind of thinking, okay, they're going to come out to Wood to 27th Street, not with the understanding that there was going to be signage and a lot of the vehicles would be rerouted to the north. So that's something that I was not aware of.
As those vehicles are exiting onto 21st Street, they'll all be traveling north. Is that correct?
Correct.
So, I mean, that seems to make sense, leaving that entire northbound lane open for those vehicles to navigate, rather than if they were parking on the east side, it just, makes traveling northbound on 21st Street a little bit more challenging with having cars parked there. At least that would be my opinion. So I think the move to have them on the west side certainly makes sense.
I guess that would then be with the understanding that we would keep the no parking in that school property on the west side of the road, how it's currently signed. That would remain in place as well. So then you'd have that stretch there for that
Okay,
100 feet or whatever it would be, that there would be no parking on either side.
So then what we're really,
Input wise, if I agree the way it's currently set up is probably the best as far as traffic flow goes, because of the fact that if you start alternating sides of where the no parking zones are, so there's already no parking zone into that curve there, and they're coming out of that curve, and now the signs on the other side where it's at, I think it would start to complicate that flow a little bit versus keeping it all on one side where there's already that no parking zone already in place there. It's my input anyways.
okay. Any other comments or input?
Yes, this is Rudy. I have several questions and
Rudy.
clarifications, please. Andy,
Even if we did move it to the, oh,
go ahead, Ralph.
I'm sorry, Rudy. I was going to say, even if you did move it to the east side, you still have to bring it to another commission meeting, because you have to give the people on the other side a chance to speak.
Good point, Ralph. Yep.
This is
So that
Rudy.
couldn't even be considered at tonight's meeting.
Yes, Rick, I have
Yeah.
a question for the school board, school district. I have a question for the school district.
Andy, are you still with us?
He's on mute right now. I do have some
Oh,
specific questions.
I'm wondering if he dropped off.
Yeah,
the line.
no,
No,
I'm
there
here.
he is. Okay.
Oh, okay, Andy. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Appreciate that. When we did the Safe Routes to School assessment at throughout the city, and I've done hundreds of them throughout the nation, Safe Routes to School, and developed a lot of guidelines on that. Can you explain to me where the buses are going to be and why the people are going to be picking up off of 21st Street versus running the buses in the back?
So the buses will use the main loop in the front, and we are able to put them, or the parents in the back, and we chose the parents in the back because we can queue, again, 24 to 28 cars in the back. And so parent pickup in the afternoon will also be on the current or updated and current asphalt that will be in the back. So it will not be along the street side. So all of that will be on property.
So along that route, there'll be no standing, stopping, or waiting?
Parents
Rather than
should
no
not be standing and stopping there. So that
Okay.
should not be allowed.
So we should have a sign. The sign should then read, no standing, stopping, or waiting. Because having done many of these, what will happen is that they will line up along the west side of 21st Street and wait. Sometimes they'll wait for an hour and just sit there. Had you thought of that, they'll queue up there until you open up some gates. Are you going to open up the gates early?
So I truthfully, I don't have a time frame for when we will have parents queuing up in the back. But we know that at most of our schools, parents queue up anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour early, especially depending on the weather. And so that will be part of our communication with parents will be, again, that they should be coming in or entering off 24th Street, proceeding along what would be the south side of the parking lot, which exists now, and then we'll be queuing up there. So that'll be our communication strategy with parents to ensure that they're doing that to the best of our abilities.
So you'll be able to accommodate all of the people on 24th on the parking lot on the school property.
Well, we can do about 24 to 28 at a time. And on any given day, there's about 50 to 75 parent pickups.
And where will they wait?
So they will have to queue to the west side of 24th, ideally taking a right-hand turn onto 24th. But currently, they're all picking up in the front with buses as well. So
I understand.
we're
I'm familiar with it.
eliminating quite a bit of traffic off of that particular road
So they'll
through
queue
this
up.
adjustment.
So they're going to queue up on Sycamore. I just want to understand this.
Yep.
They're going to queue up on Sycamore Avenue. And then they'll make a right turn onto 24th Street. Then they will queue up into the school property. So you'll have about 25 people on Sycamore and about 25 people on the school property. Is that about right?
That sounds about right, yes.
Okay. For Sycamore, do you have no standing stopping there now? Or do they just pull up?
I believe they pull up in a line, but truthfully, I have not been there to witness their afternoon pickup. But I believe that they just queue up on Sycamore now and they pull into the front loop when the front loop is available.
Okay. Having done these before, I would strongly recommend that once the school opens up, that you take a serious look at what's happening on Sycamore, 24th Street, and then also on how they're queuing up within the school. I know Cedar Hills is probably the most challenging of all the schools in the school district. That I understand. We always have to plan with the end in mind, and evidently whoever planned that didn't plan with the end in mind. And I just want to anticipate the situation. So people will then come out of Cedar Hills and make a left turn on 21st Street?
Correct.
Is that correct? And what happens if they want to go on Woods Avenue?
Well, ultimately, we can't stop them from doing that. But we are sending our signage and communication to parents will be that they should be making a left-hand turn out of that east entrance onto 24th Street heading north.
Okay.
So much like any school district, we do not have authority over ticketing somebody who would turn right, enter onto Wood, and then go to 20th Street. But we will do our best to communicate that.
I understand. Been there. At Edgewood, what they've done is they put up a no left turn or no right turn. Ralph, you can correct me on that. Right at the south exit, where you exit from Edgewood around the circle, I believe they put up a no left turn sign.
It's a no left turn, Rudy. Yep.
Okay.
I live a block from there. Yep.
Okay.
So
So
we'll be having asphalt signage and I don't even know what you'd call it, but signage on a post at that entrance or exit.
So the question then becomes, should a no left turn sign be, or no right turn sign be placed at that exit on city property? You can put it on school property too, and I've seen that. I've recommended that in the past too. And then you have a violation. If you put up a sign and somebody makes a right turn onto Woods to go down Woods, that's a right turn violation. If that's what you want, you can put up, a sign can be put up. I think you got to go through another, I think this is something that Ashley and the councilman have to discuss. But just to expect people to not make a right turn because you think you put a note, I have found that it never works. Never works. You have to have people out there. And then the question then becomes, why do we have to have no parking along Woods if there's no right turn? That's a question.
So the residents had explained that there will still be traffic turning from 20th Street onto Woods. So we know with well, I shouldn't say with 100% certainty, but I'm quite positive that as much as we will direct traffic, even with a sign on city property, which would be a violation, people will still turn right. The vast majority of people will follow the signs and turn left, but there will still be people that turn right, again, even with a sign on city property. So the goal is to limit it as much as possible onto Woods Avenue, but the no parking was to help eliminate, should that happen, the potential to congest with someone turning onto Wood from 20th Street to alleviate that thoroughfare.
Okay. And I'm speaking as a traffic engineer now. If you want people to turn right, left, then you channelize it. And it's done right in, right out in shopping centers. I've done many shopping centers, many malls, streets around the country, in safe routes to school, in traffic calming. There's two things. One is you have a sign and it says no right turn. That means no right turn. It's just like a stop sign or a traffic signal. If people want to violate it, then Lieutenant Sagan can have his people go out there and issue a ticket. And I've had it where people thought that it was 15 miles an hour in the school zone, and they thought, I can go 30. It's just a suggestion. And then when you put a police officer out there and you issue tickets, you know what? People go 15 miles an hour. So I, as a traffic engineer and a certified safety professional in infrastructure, I just think that to say, oh, people are going to do that anyway, so we'll provide for that. The object is you can do channelization at that intersection and make it almost impossible, if not impossible. That's what we do with interchanges. We have where you can't make a right. We know people would like to make a right turn, but you can't. So my thought is you're just, yeah, if you want to have no parking there, fine. But I don't think that we should just say, oh, people will do it. People will do it because we say. We put up a sign there. If we don't want them to turn right, put up a sign that says don't turn right.
No, I agree with you. We also have a parking lot that will be off there, off the backside, that our teachers will still use. So we were trying not to totally eliminate the use of that entrance before and after school, outside of the 30 minutes of drop off and 30 minutes of pickup. Eliminating that, because we will have teachers who approach it from Woods Avenue, both in the morning, and we'll leave at 5 or 6 o'clock at night when it's not a problem at all to have one car venture out onto the road. It's really the high volume of pickup and drop off. And that was what, when we reviewed it with our civil engineer and planning team, that was the discussion.
And your civil engineer is a traffic engineer?
No, he is not. And no, I'm not claiming he is not. I'm simply saying when we discussed it, that was the discussion.
I understand. As a traffic engineer, I'm the citizen representative up until December 20th, when this committee is no longer in effect. I believe that if you have a traffic engineer look at that, pay for a traffic engineer, have somebody with a safe routes to school approach that has done these before, and the city has an excellent one that did the safe routes to school in out of Minneapolis. Antonio is absolutely excellent. One of the best I've seen in the country. I would suggest that after this discussion, I would suggest you do with it. You don't have to do that, but I would suggest that you get with the engineers, the traffic engineers, and discuss it rather than wait until it's too late.
Both Matt Sullivan and Mike Simmons have seen the plan.
Pardon me?
Both Matt Sullivan and Mike Simmons have seen the plan.
I understand that. I understand. So I will be quiet. Thank you.
Oh, and Rudy, certainly we appreciate your input and your experience for this evening's meeting. However, because some of the comments that you had made and recommendations are not included on the agenda, we wouldn't be able to take action on them. So
So I agree. I'm
all
not
we
asking
can
you to
do
take action.
tonight
All I'm doing is I'm
is-
recommending to
is
the,
vote on,
right. All I'm doing is recommending to Andy that they take a look at this.
Yeah,
okay,
we will certainly review it again to
I mean,
make sure. We're
as a-
trying to, again,
I've-
eliminate issues as much
I
as
have a-
possible.
I have a duty as a professional engineer to do that. So I'm just, I'm going to go along with it. I'm just saying, while we have the opportunity, Andy, here's some free advice. People pay
Yep.
thousands of dollars for this. It's free.
right,
We will certainly review it again to make sure that how the exit is, we'd still like all of the changes that are being brought forth tonight, but we can review how the exit is.
Okay, fine. It's fine.
Created.
Fine.
at one point, I did notice that one of callers, Paul, was looking to make a comment. Paul, are you still there?
I am here.
And-
I o-
and-
I
Go
only
ahead,
meant
Paul.
to ask, what are the boundaries going to be for the Cedar Hills School District? I know what they are now. They include some divisions south of Rawson, accessible south of 27th and Rawson, I believe, right? Does anyone know?
So the boundaries as they exist are not being changed with the addition to Cedar Hills or the interior work done in its existing stature.
Right. So-
I'm trying to think exactly. I could not tell you exactly what the boundaries are as they currently sit, but they are not changing.
I just didn't know if they were changing because another school was being built, if there was going to be any shuffling at that point. But the only reason I ask is because I suspect, as Rudy was essentially saying, there's probably going to be demand to get to use Wood Avenue and 20th Street to get to Rawson Avenue more quickly than if you go up 21st. I believe you'd either take Carrington to 20th or you would drive back through the neighborhood. Does that sound reasonably accurate? So I only wonder, I suspect that the concern that's being expressed is probably going to come to bear, that there's going to be demand to exit into the major roads via Wood Avenue. And that's why we were thinking about not having parking on Wood Avenue, because we suspect that there would be traffic on Wood Avenue.
More free advice. People are going to take Wood Avenue regardless, because it's the short way out. It's like water. People are going to go the short path of least resistance. They're going to take Wood Avenue. They're going to make right and left turns on that. And people making a left turn there are going to be, it'll be how the flow goes of water. All I'm saying is take a look at it. Man, take a look at it before you get into a big problem.
As stated, we will certainly review it again.
Okay, any other comments or concerns, questions from committee in regard to new business item A, or excuse me, letter A?
Just for clarification, what we're actually voting on is adding signs and no parking on school days where there's not signs that say no parking anytime, back up towards to the north. Is that correct?
That's not how it's listed here on the agenda. So Ashley, maybe you might be able to answer that better, or Ralph may be able to.
I believe that's what you had said, Kevin, with it being shown like it is on the agenda with it being on the west side of the road from the existing no parking restrictions to Carrington on the west side.
Right.
21st.
We're not going to change the no parking all the time on the west side. We're just adding further to the north, correct?
Correct. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
So the existing signage that's no parking anytime along the west side of 21st within the school property would remain no parking anytime, and then signs would be added north of there for no parking, stopping, standing during the school days.
I understand. Thank you.
Alderman Dukniak, just an
Yeah.
FYI too, Roberta has raised her hand to speak again.
Oh, okay. I did not see that. Thank you, Kevin. Roberta.
I actually sent a number, like 4 different questions, which were more comments. I can read those if you want. That
Please
would
feel
be
free.
easier. Okay, my first question was really not a question, but a comment. If you have a sign for no right turn as you exit the school property, then even outside of school hours, people would feel that they would be forced to turn left, creating more traffic down 21st Street. And that is of a little bit of concern to me. My next comment was currently, we know that school staff park on 21st Street. If there's no parking on the west side all the way to Carrington, I'm wondering if more people will park on the east side. We've had days where mail isn't delivered because cars are parked too close to our mailbox. And I'm thinking if there are more cars that have to park on the east side, there's more potential for a mail not being delivered. I don't know if there is some kind of, I don't want to say requirement, but if it's highly suggested that staff of the school is required to park in the parking lot and not on 21st Street. I know now that I've been working from home more, especially starting last spring, that there definitely were the same cars parked in front of our house every single day. So I'm assuming that they were school staff. And with the addition to the school, is there going to be enough parking available in the parking lot so that everybody who works at that school can park in the parking lot rather than on 21st Street? My other statement is I have never seen 20th Street being so busy that turning onto it from Wood would be a problem. I can't see where that would be an issue. And while, you know, I wouldn't necessarily want a ton of traffic going down Wood, to me, if they go down Wood, it's not going to be any more difficult turning onto 20th Street than if they go down 21st Street, turn right on Carrington and go onto 20th Street. So those are just my comments, not really questions per se.
Okay, thank you, Roberta. Any comments from the committee? If none, and again, please keep in mind, I know that we've had a significant amount of discussion on action item A, but we have to keep to what is listed on the agenda. So we are looking for a motion on the action item as it was read about no parking, stopping, standing, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. school days only. So if someone would care to make a motion.
Rich,
Sure.
I think the proposal just says no parking.
No, it says no parking, no stopping, or no standing.
Okay,
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
My fault. Thank you, Ralph.
No problem, sorry.
So again, I'll put the request out for a motion on item A.
I motion to approve item A.
Is there a second?
Ralph Knoisel, I second that motion.
Okay. Thank you. So on new business, well, I'm sorry, we'll take roll call on the proposal. So Ashley,
Aye.
Ralph,
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
Andy,
Aye.
Rudy,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
and Rich, I as well.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
That item has been approved.
All right, I hope all of you gentlemen have a good night, and ladies have a good night.
Thank you, Andrew.
Great. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Rich, just so you're aware, you also have Tom Johnson back in with us here in the meeting. He has a little bit of late arrival, just for your records.
Okay.
Oh, he did join us. Okay.
Yeah, sorry guys, I was a little late getting in.
Nope, no worries. Thanks, Andy. All right, Tom.
Thanks, Andy.
All right, on to item number 2. This is a request to install no parking anytime signs on the west side of South Orchard Way from 130 feet north of South Cortland Drive to the cul-de-sac at northern limits of South Orchard Way. And once again, I will ask Ashley to provide us with a little comment or information about this request.
So this section of Orchard Way was newly constructed last year. There are apartments that have recently been constructed. So the no parking restrictions would strictly be on that new section of road, and they would not go into that existing subdivision to the south at all. This request was initially suggested by the development. At the time, we wanted to see just kind of how it would pan out. Since some of those buildings have started to receive occupancy, on a daily basis, cars are double parked. It is very tight. So the engineering department did kind of talk about it, and this road section is 29 feet from back curb to back curb, which is fairly consistent to a lot of our residential areas, but because it is a multifamily housing, it's a little bit of a different situation than our residential areas in our neighborhoods. So on future developments, and when you have those multifamily development, the engineering department is looking at restricting parking on one side of the road in these situations.
Okay, thank you, Ashley.
How it started, yeah, and then
So this was a request. This was a
comments.
request through engineering and not through the
No, it
developer?
was actually initiated by the development.
By the
and
developer,
then,
okay.
And then it actually came from the Department of Public Works is where the official request had come from.
Okay, thank you, Ashley. Kevin, do we have anyone on the line that wishes to speak on this item?
There's no one for this item.
Okay, thanks, Kev.
Yep.
All right, committee members, thoughts, comments, questions in regard to action item B?
This is Ralph Knoisel. I'm totally in favor of it. We've gone down it just with a regular pickup truck, and it gets very tight the way they park. It'd be different if everybody parked right next to the curb line, but a lot of them are parking 2-3 feet away, and they also park the wrong way on the street.
Oh, boy.
There's no way we can possibly plow in winter unless
Okay.
one side is open.
And Ashley, did you say they're currently double parking because there are no restrictive signs there currently, correct?
Correct. Yeah, there are not. And I guess to address the parking in the wrong direction, we have reached out to the apartment manager. I did touch basing with Andy Sagan just out of curiosity with what a violation would be, so we could pass that along to the residents as well. So that took place a couple of weeks ago. We haven't seen much of a change, but any time of day there is, I don't know, I would say at least 10 cars or so parked out. A lot of them are double parked. We did pick the west side of the road to restrict parking because there's driveways, there are entrances to their parking lot and their garage on the west side. More of the issue does seem to be on the right side of the road where the garages and their parking are behind the building. So it looks like a lot of residents, they do pull up coming from the north and then they park right there in front of their building. So that just seems like it's a little bit more heavily used, and yeah, the west side has the driveways and whatnot, so it just seemed like it made more sense to restrict it on the west side.
Okay. Any other comments?
Ashley, it's been a bit since I've driven down that one since it's been developed. So just to clarify, do they have, like, as far as the way it was designed, as far as the number of parking stalls or underground parking and that kind of stuff available to them, so that we're not, I guess my only concern would be is that we're eliminating an opportunity for them to park if there isn't adequate parking already at their place. But if they have adequate parking, that would be something that would be a moot point for me anyways.
They do, yeah, they do. And that's kind of initially when we had gotten the request from the development to restrict parking. that was kind of one of my concerns too. It's like, well, if there's not enough parking on site and we restrict parking, and then you're going to have people parking in the subdivision to the south that were already opposed to the project somewhat, that would cause issues. And we were told at that time that, nope, we've got adequate parking here. It shouldn't be an issue. So I'm still not sure why we're seeing the amount of cars out there, if there is ample parking for the residents. But we were reassured that nope, there's adequate parking for them.
This is Rudy.
So Ashley, Alderman Dukenyak here. I know that this proposal was brought before the council quite some time ago, but I think it's standard practice for any development to have, parking arrangements for the residents as part of the development area and not street parking. So I'm pretty certain that we were given assurances at the time that the development was proposed to us that each apartment either gets 1 or 2 spaces, and that they also have public lots for visitors as well. So yeah, that's a great question, Ashley. Could those possibly be workers that are parking along the street?
And that was originally, they were doing a lot of paving where some of the buildings had gotten occupancy and there was still a lot of construction going on. So that's kind of what I had chalked it up to in the beginning of the summer, that, hey, there's a lot of workers out there. That's kind of what's going on. But they're pretty much done out there, and we're still seeing those vehicles out there. And I don't know if it is a convenience thing where, hey, I don't want to pull to the back here and park in my garage. And I haven't gone out there at nighttime to see either if it's just people coming and going during the day. I'm not sure, but you're right, Rich. All that stuff is reviewed by Plan Commission, that they have enough parking spots on site. So I'm not sure what or why we're seeing so many out there. But again,
And currently there have been no I'm sorry, Ashley, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I just still don't think it's enough where you're going to see, we're restricting parking on the west side, so now there's going to be a bunch of cars parked in the neighborhood. I don't see that being an issue. Because it's still, a handful of cars that are out there.
Okay. We've had no input from the residents, no call-in, and Alderman Lorik has not made me aware of any input that he has had from the residents as well. So I don't think it's a big issue.
No, and it did go to the property manager, and they were able to disperse it out to the residents. Although they haven't responded to not parking in the right direction. So they're getting the letters, but yeah, they were made aware of it. The property manager was supposed to be sending it out to the residents.
Okay, well, I have a question for our resident expert on the committee, Rudy. What's the downside to putting no parking on the west side of the street there? Is there a downside?
I don't think so. I agree with Ashley that it's a convenience thing. I'm just going to pull up here and go. I think Ralph has a good point on the street and plowing. It's very, very narrow, and the city council may want to not have such narrow streets in Oak Creek. If you just take Fitzsimmons or Oak Lane, if people are parked on both sides of the road, you can't get, just one car can get through. And people will park on both sides, and then it's hard for the plows to get through. So I totally agree that I would say, yeah, to give some relief to Ralph.
Great. Thank you, Rudy. So any other comments or questions on agenda or action item B?
Yeah, Rich, this is just Tom from the fire
Sure,
department. And I've been through there before too myself, and I know that that's a pretty narrow area. My only concern is just getting emergency fire apparatus through that area if they're double parked, especially if they double up on that west side of that road. So I know they make those roads there, those accesses a little bit narrow in the first place. And we would use that as a thoroughfare to get in that and out of that area, ingress and egress. So,
all right, so there there is a benefit then, Tom, to
I think
having
so.
no parking, and that's fire department access. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any other comments in regard to item B? If none, let's have someone give us a motion.
I move that we accept the B plan for the item B. Approve it.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that, Rich.
Okay, and then we'll take roll call. Ashley,
Aye.
Ralph,
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
Thomas,
Aye.
Andy,
Aye.
Rudy,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
and I will make it unanimous. So the motion to install no parking anytime signs on the west side of South Orchard Way from 130 feet north of South Cortland Drive to the cul-de-sac at northern limits of South Orchard Way has been approved by a vote or by unanimous vote. Okay, let's see here. Page 2 of the agenda. Adjournment, or before I move to adjourn, any other comments, questions, concerns for the meeting?
I have a couple of quick ones. Just for you guys are aware, first of all, Rudy, thanks for reminding everybody about the December 20th current makeup of the expiration of the current makeup of our committee here. But on that note, if we don't have a December meeting, this may be my last meeting as well. I am going to third shift starting in January for a short term, so I don't know how long I'll be there or if I'll ever come back to second. And normally, traditionally, our second shift lieutenant sits in on the committee meetings. So if we have a meeting in December, I'll see you then. If it is pushed out until January, you'll have Lieutenant Randy Knitter, who's going to be taking over the second shift lieutenant role.
Okay, great. Thank you, Andy.
Rich,
Thank you for your work on the committee.
Rich, I have a question.
Sure.
As of December 20th, then we will no longer exist?
That is a great question. I know that at 2 council meetings ago, there was just a bit of reorganization with the committee structure. And what I'll do, Rudy, is get some clarification from our city administrator, Andrew Vickers, to see exactly what that change would be. My understanding was it was technically 60 days from the time that the council voted. So if somebody has said December 20th, that must have been an action item at our October 24th council meeting. But I can get you some clarification, Rudy, on that.
I sat in on the meeting, and
Okay.
Donnie Ashbaugh was there, and that was the water commission
Oh,
meeting.
correct. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And as a line item at the bottom was that the Traffic and Safety Committee would be disbanded as of the enactment of that resolution. You were changing the charter of the city, and by changing the charter, I talked to Ken on this, and it's 60 days after that vote. So I would assume that I took it from that 60 days, which then becomes the 20th, that this committee would no longer be functioning in it, and the role would be then taken over by the city council's new committee.
Right. And Rudy, it means that the Traffic and Safety Commission itself will no longer be in effect. However, the new committee structure there, and I forgot which one it is, traffic and safety questions or issues in our community will certainly be addressed through the new committee
But this
makeup.
committee will no longer
This
exist. We will not be
specific
members.
committee, you are correct, Rudy, yes.
Okay, so
After
this,
December 20th. I would think, once it's made clear, and I have to take a look again where traffic and safety fell into in the restructuring process, I think I may even be on one of it might be on Personnel Committee. I believe Personnel and
Okay.
Finance.
Well, from what I understood, it was on, and we're getting into, I
Right.
just wanted a clarification because if if a committee that I'm on is being disbanded, I just want to know, yep, it's being disbanded and goodbye.
Yep.
So I think it was supposed to go, what I understood it to be at that committee meeting was that it was going to be part of that new committee that Ken is on. I know Ken is on a number of other commission.
Oh, Rudy, you're right. It might be the new Department of Public Works.
That's
Committee.
right.
That's
The new
it.
Public Works Committee,
That's
where
Yep.
it goes.
Yes.
That's where it goes.
Now, that's not to say that some tweaking might not be done to, or might be done to that. You know, this is a work in progress where, I mean, I think it would be prudent of city members on that new committee to use a valuable resource such as yourself for
Well,
input on some items. So
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Ashley,
You-
I mean, I'm
you
sure
have-
you're going to be part of it.
Yeah, you have
as will
Ashley, you
fire
have
and
Matt, you
police.
have Mike. I mean, that's fine. It's just that I wanted to
Okay.
be clear that in fact that this committee would be abolished
Okay.
and that our services will no longer be required.
Okay, and
That's all.
I will have Andrew, I guess, make them if there is an official act that disbands this committee, I'll make certain that we communicate how that's going to be done.
Yeah, I was pretty clear. I mean, there were guys who were pretty clear at the council meeting that it was disbanded. So
Right, but
That's fine.
again, I don't know if
It's
there is
fine.
if there's an official action other than that restructuring that needs to take place.
yeah,
So,
that's fine.
okay,
It's fine.
and I just thank
Appreciate it.
everybody for
Okay.
their work on being on this committee for the number of years. I know I'm a relative newbie, and Ashley, you are as well. But a lot of other members have been on this for quite some time, and I certainly appreciate your time and dedication to our community. So with that, any other comments or questions before we adjourn? All right, looking for a motion to adjourn.
So move, Rudy. So move.
Rudy, thank you. Second?
I'll second that, Rudy.
All right, Ralph. All right. I
Aye.
think this, as you had mentioned, Rudy, the final meeting of the Traffic and Safety Commission on Wednesday, November 11th, 2020 is now adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Thanks,
to
guys.
you.
Take care.
Stay safe. Certainly interesting times that we're in right now. So stay safe, stay healthy. Happy holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas, whatever new form those holidays may now take. Take care, everybody.
All right. See you.
Pleasure,
See you
guys.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Take it easy.
Bye now.